some folks might trickle in, but I'm just going to give such a brief welcome, but we're so thrilled and delighted to have you here at our artist talkback for Steph Everett's It's Fine, I'm Fine. We are so in love with this play and with the whole experience of putting it up both live and now virtually. So I just want to do a quick show of hands. I'm looking now on gallery view, and maybe you can put in the chat if your video's not on. So who has seen the show live? All right, good number of folks. Excellent. Yeah, me too. Amazing. And who has seen the show virtually? All right.
Oh, virtually.
Okay, virtually. So we've got a handful virtually, a bunch live, and folks who have not seen the show yet and hope to soon.
Tomorrow night.
All right, tomorrow night. Excellent. We got a couple. Great. Well, you actually have a while. You have a couple of days to see it. You have until Sunday to see it live. And if you're at the show on Sunday, I'll see you there. And you have about a month to see it virtually. So you have a lot of opportunities. So, and thank you. Thanks for everyone in the chat also.
Seeing it virtually felt like I was seeing it live.
I'm so happy to hear that. I have not seen the virtual version yet, so I'm really, really excited for that.
Very well done.
Awesome. So that is so good to hear. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jess Chayes. I'm the Bold Associate Artistic Director. And I'm mostly here to just welcome you and say we're so thrilled to be having this conversation with you this evening about It's Fine, I'm Fine with some of our incredible artistic team. I think everyone's very good at Zoom from, this experience we've all had. So I would say only things I'm going to say are mute yourself if you're not presenting or speaking or asking a question at a given time. And here it's going. I'm watching everyone in mute in real time, and it's beautiful. Thank you. We recommend putting yourself on speaker view if you would like, or you can put yourself on gallery view, and you can see everyone hanging out in their own homes on this call. And I think that's all. I think, I was like, we generally say there have been known to be Zoom hackers, but we actually have such great security now. Everyone has to sort of register and get the link. So we assume that there will not be Zoom hackers. If there are, Kerrigan and I are security, and we will remove them swiftly and without mercy. Also, for the first time, our artist talkbacks are live on Facebook. So streaming live on Facebook, we are really entering, a new phase of our ability to stream and get our message out, hopefully to all of the Northern Stage fans out there all around the country now that things are online. So without further ado, I'm so thrilled to introduce Jalinda Metalus. So Jalinda is one of our 3 Dartmouth e-termers. That's the Dartmouth experiential term. She's one of 3 students who are in residence here at Northern Stage. Incredibly brave, intrepid students to come be a part of our work this term in particular when things are so different, and they are making such an unbelievable impact on our work here. They've probably called you in your home to ask you to book tickets. You've probably, you'll see them in many of our shows, you'll hear them, and It's a Wonderful Life this winter. So they're just, they've been an incredible bunch of folks to have with us this term. So I'm going to pass it over to Jalinda, who will introduce our artists and get us started. So take it away, Jalinda.
Thank you, Jess. Hi, everyone. I'm Jalinda, just to say my name again. Hello. So since I was already introduced, first I want to say thank you so much for you guys, just showing up, because we know with internet, you could just be at home relaxing. So we really appreciate you coming and watching Steph's show. So first I will introduce Steph, the play. I'm going like this because Steph is over here on my screen, but no one is here. Anyway, Steph, she's the playwright and the performer. She came to Northern Stage to perform this, and she also wrote it during the E-term. So right now, again, I'm doing the E-term, and one of the things we do is a passion project, and this was hers. And then we have Beatrice, who was lovely enough to choreograph any of the really large movements or even small movements that you saw within the piece. And Beatrice, where are you right now? Because you're not in White River Junction like Steph and I.
I'm in Bloomington, Indiana.
Yes. So, the magic of Zoom. Okay, so now that I've introduced them, I will just get started with questions. So the first question I have is for Steph, and it is, what was it like during the process of writing this during E-term, and how did you choose this story to tell? How was this the story you wanted to tell?
Like you just mentioned, Jalinda, every E-termer does some sort of passion project, and I had never really written in any serious to any serious degree. And I was in a meeting with Carol Dunn, and she was like, "Why don't you write about the head stuff?" And I was like, "Okay." So originally it was going to be a piece where I took on 5 different characters, all dealing with some manifestation of a mental illness or an injury or as something. And I started writing, and Eric Love was my advisor, and we'd meet every week. And the first week I presented like the sort of personalities I wanted to take on. He was like, "Okay, well, how does it relate to your experience?" And I started talking, and he was like, "Okay, tell me more." And I talked more, and he was like, "Okay, I want to know that." So basically through meeting with Eric every week, he sort of pulled like half an hour of stories out of me, which I presented. And I guess Amanda Rayfuse at the time and Carol Dunn were moved enough to put it into New Works Now. And it's just grown from there.
Yay. And just so everyone knows, Eric Love is actually in this Zoom call right now if he wants to.
And Jalinda and Steph, I have to say, the process of writing with Steph was wonderful because I never changed a single word. It was never ever like, let's talk about the quality of your writing. Every session was, "This is amazing. I want to know more." Like, "I love your mom. Tell me about her food. I love your doctor. What's your daily routine like?" I just was like, wanted to know more and more. And I loved it. And I was like, I want Carol to see this. Maybe she'll think it's good. But Carol saw it, and just like the next day was like, "We're producing this. No questions asked." So it was a remarkable journey, and I loved watching it on stage, Steph.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next question is, this is a question for both Beatrice and Steph. What was your favorite part to write, whether it was originally there or Eric asked you about it and you were like, "Ooh, yes, that part." And for Beatrice, what was your favorite part to choreograph?
Should I go?
Yeah,
Go for it. Do it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beatrice. As mentioned, I'm in Indiana. And just before I even answer the question, I just wanted to first say that I've worked. This is my second time working with Steph. The first time that I worked with Steph was in Citrus, a play that was produced at Northern Stages. So I was really happy to be a part of the family again, working with Steph. In terms of just my favorite part, and I spoke to Steph about this a lot, is Maman's cooking, and I believe Eric discussed about just wanting to know about Maman's cooking, and it just reminded me of my mom, and as my first introduction in having or talking about the play with Steph was when she was on a train ride to home, and we were actually discussing about the play, and when she expressed to me about her mom, and I asked her questions, and that's one of the things that I do as a choreographer before I go into movement is I ask questions. And then depending on what the character is, the narrative is, then I start to imagine my place in that space. So as she was discussing about her mom and her cooking, all of a sudden I started to just smell. I started to put myself in the space of a kitchen and started to smell all of the different jambalayas that is presented in the space. And then from there, I started to think about it was one of those camouflage where I'm thinking about my mother, but then I'm thinking about Steph's mom, and then and having that interaction, and then at the same time, what is it like to have just different accents and African accents and from Senegal, and what are the different music that is happening, right? So I'm thinking about all these different rhythms that are happening in the space, and so it was really something that was close to home, that I connected with.
Hmm. That is also one of my favorites, that and the piece about New England and just fall in New England, because my dad is from up here, up in this area. So I remember coming to see the foliage as a kid. And that was part of why I wanted to go to Dartmouth, was I wanted to be in the outdoors and all that. So I love pretty much every piece that Beatrice has like added to with choreography. Is one of my favorites because they're all very poetic, and they were the easiest ones to write. They were the easiest ones to start too. And then I think also it's not, I guess it is part of the writing. Like I worked with Samantha Lazar, who's also here, a year after New Works Now, and we basically flipped the structure completely. And that was one of my favorite parts because I felt like it was just a series of like complaints almost. And then through our work together, it became like a story with a flow and like made sense. And so just having that experience was really cool in the writing process.
I'm kind of interested just because you talked about like kind of it coming alive. First, I want to say, because I assistant directed, I was in the room and I can attest to the fact that Steph's writing was already amazing, but really watching Beatrice work literally through a TV screen that was in this room that you see behind me, literally choreographing and working with Steph in the room and watching them go over it and add on to it, you could really see it come to life. And that was just a really amazing process, especially for me as just like an E-termer, just seeing like, wow, this is what theater can do. Like it cannot be stopped by COVID. That was really amazing as well. Yes, I did. Sorry, there were two things. So now the second thing for Steph is I am kind of interested because I saw this play for the first time at Dartmouth, because I believe you were doing an independent study, you said, Steph. So she performed it at Dartmouth and it was quite different. Like it was just a chair. And like a journal and pills, if I'm remembering correctly. So what was that transition process like? How did you get to what everyone saw?
I will say this is the first time the show has ever been fully memorized. I feel like I always found a way. Like, it's funny you mentioned the journal because the journal literally had my lines because I was in the middle of my senior spring and like finishing classes at Dartmouth and like putting this show up randomly on a Friday night. So this is the first time that, I performed it at New Works Now while I was in school, at Dartmouth while I was in school, and then in New York at United Solo Festival, which was our initial goal when I first started writing it. I got into the festival and was doing a show within my first month of being in New York on my own. And during a week that we were doing some like experimental choreography workshopping for Citrus. So this is the first time I've ever gotten to put the show up with a set, with lighting design and sound design, and with nothing else to focus on but the show. So it was the first time that I really got to feel like the actor in the show, and I was reading the script not to make edits, but to figure out how to show everyone what my life is like.
Thank you. So for another question for Beatrice, it's kind of going off of what you got into earlier, but I honestly was just dumbfounded by the way you were able to work with Steph. Now I know that you had worked with her before, so it wasn't like new, but you could feel like that connection, that you guys understood each other. You would say something to Steph and she would just be able to do it. So I am curious to see how you chose to best articulate Steph's work. I know you did say that you like thought about your connection to it, but was there any other way that you did it? And especially because you were doing it in like a small office. Like Beatrice was choreographing and was like in a small room and was like pushing chairs out of the way and getting on the ground. She was very into it. So please just describe that experience in general as well.
Yeah. Well, Steph actually mentioned about just the word poetics, and I actually wrote that down in one of my notes, and I thought about just the movement also being poetic too, and this story is such a universal language. And of course specific to Steph's story, but it's very universal. So I was trying to investigate just our natural movements that we do as just human beings in general. And how do I expand on that? And the word kept on coming up, which is silver lining. And how do we continuously use silver lining just in our bodies in general? And this just journey of, if let's say we're waking up with pain, or if we're waking up with different types of struggles, what are the different natural movements that are in the body that we're not necessarily aware of? So then how can that be in the space even more? So as Jalinda mentioned so before the rehearsal, I was actually just thinking about that. And I actually do this like science test on my body first before I, of course, deliver it to another body to try to see how that feels. And one of the things that I, of course, ask Steph, like, how does that feel? Is this okay? Are you feeling the same thing I'm feeling? So, and having that interaction, and just it's the process. And that's one of the things that I always enjoy, is that process of trying to investigate and navigate what works, what doesn't, what feels good, what is abstract, and how does the language and the poetics of the language, does it make sense with the movement, or does it not? Should we just kind of like just scratch it and throw it away? And Carol and everyone else in the team were really good at supporting. Yes, that's great. So then that was one of those things that, I felt like, okay, let's go there. Because it is hard to, I will say that it is hard in terms of being on Zoom, just because I'm also a person that I love energy and I feed off of energy. And it was hard to just kind of not necessarily sense that. But yes, I know I said a lot of things, but that that was pretty much the process in all in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, I definitely saw that. I saw you guys trying to balance the abstract with the literal, and when to use repetition, for instance, with this pain motion. So yeah.
But then also, how does this repetition of movement, how does that progress a little bit more, right? So do we naturally, if let's say we have a headache and we do this, then there's moments that we may, maybe have our hands here, or maybe we kind of cringe our body. So these different things, and really human instincts, right? So how do we now put these different movements that we naturally do into the body that feels natural for Steph in real time, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So another question I just wanted to ask is the ending. I feel like it could be taken different ways maybe, but I think in general, we all felt that it was open. It was open because I mean, you're still living with this. So I don't see a world necessarily in which the play would just end because this is still something you're living with. So I just wanted to ask, how are you dealing with your condition now? And also, I feel like it is important to ask, how is it like with the tech elements of the show? Because there are loud noises, there are bright lights, and these are all things that might make PCS worse in those moments, but I will let you answer it. I won't say how you're feeling. So
I'm
please.
glad it comes across as hopeful. Because the last week or so of doing it, I get to that point in the show and I'm like, oh no, don't leave. I hope they don't leave sad. Because I'm just like, oh yeah, waiting forever, never better. But I'm glad it comes off that way. I think I am always one to find the silver lining, which is why it comes up so often. Acknowledging that, like, yes, it has been difficult, but it taught me that I was not meant to be an athlete and I was not meant to like pigeonhole my college experience in that way. It taught me my new career path and that theater was a career path, and not just a hobby, which maybe my mother doesn't agree with, but I just feel like it's difficult because the show, I've had people come up to me afterwards and ask if it's fiction, ask if it's like loosely based on events. I'm like, no, everything in the show is 100%. So when I'm performing the show, I am reliving these like 2 years in my life. But what's changed is that I took the approach to PCS into every other aspect of my life that was sort of unraveling. So the way you treat PCS is just wait for a new symptom to come up and then treat that symptom. Because my condition has like evolved over these past 4 years. And so there are problems with eating, treat that one thing with a therapist. There are problems with substance abuse, treat that one thing with a support system. The mental health, just I have the right people in my life now and not like an athletic team that had different motives to keep me accountable to taking care of myself. And like have opened up to my parents and like now they know that all this is happening. So it's not really gotten any better, but I've just become better at coping with all of the unforeseen changes that happened.
Thank you. And we definitely appreciate you being very vulnerable because as I did my passion projects, I was like, wow, Steph did maybe I won't. So thank you.
I truly am an open book because it is so much a part of my past. And knowing that so many people can relate to it in some way is really helpful, because I think I would have had a different time if I'd had people like speaking out about stuff.
Thank you. And really quickly, before we open it up to everyone, I just wanted to let Beatrice talk a bit about her past choreographing, and really anything, because she's quite accomplished. So let's let her go.
Well, I'm from New Jersey. I live in now Bloomington, Indiana. I'm in the Indiana University Department of Theater, Drama, and Contemporary Dance, specifically in the Contemporary Dance program. I also dance with Camille Brown and Dancers Company, who's a Tony-nominated choreographer for Choir Boy. And I also am focusing on actually my research on Afro-Cuban dance forms. But yes, I also studied at Avenel American Dance Center. So that's all. That's all. Thank
you. So as you can see, I'm doing it again. She's right. There's no one here. Anyway, so
some of y'all might have seen Beatrice I saw her for the first time with the rest of the students who ended up being in Citrus, and we had our own little fangirl moment because Camille Brown dance group came to Dartmouth. So some of y'all might have seen that presentation. Yeah.
Right.
Incredible.
So now I just want to open it up to everyone here. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Oh, there's one. Barb Jones, please go.
Yes, I have to confess right off the top, I am a complete Steph groupie. I just am with things that she is in. I love Citrus. And I also had the opportunity to see when it was New Works Now and the development and the much more expansion of so many aspects with the present production. I found very, very rewarding. It was more static in the beginning. It was, as Steph herself said, it was sort of a series of complaints, although I don't think I would have expressed it that way, but it was very static, very confined. I loved the large square area and the different people that she became, even when she was herself. I could tell when she was talking to her doctor, when she was talking about her mother, her father. I loved that expanded feel that there were so many more people in the play than just Stephanie. And I love the square area where she draws with her hands. I don't know whether that was part of the choreography, but I really enjoyed that a lot. And I am delighted to have an opportunity to see a production that is this exceptional. So it's more kudos and comments than it is asking a question, but I do hope that she is feeling better, because I felt every one of those headaches that she had. I just wanted to, anyway, I'm very sorry if you have problems, and I hope that they are getting better.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm saying thank you because it just made me happy, but I'm sure Steph means it too, as you can see.
Yeah, fully crying.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes.
Gotta unmute. There we go. Yeah. Thank you for your honesty, Steph. That was just amazing to expose yourself that way and your journey with your personal experience. I did not know that this was an actual documentary, so to speak. I think that took a lot of bravery on your part to expose yourself that way and share it with all of us. So I thank you for that. Beatrice, the choreography was wonderful, and the talent that you had to work with Steph, with her hands and her body, the flow of it. It was like a ballerina. I don't know if you have a dance background, but I thought of a ballerina so many times as I watched the flow of your arms and your body. It was beautiful. And your musical talents. I mean, you are a very talented lady.
Oh, y'all, thank you.
So well done. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for speaking up. Steph, I think she told me today she has like, what, 7 years of ballet or something, which
10.
10.
long time ago. I told that to Beatrice when we first started working on on Citrus, because I did that movement piece and I was like, it's in there somewhere. I just need you to pull it on out.
Definitely expanding her natural movements. Like, she already has it, and she has all of these different ways of articulating, and she's so passionate and just honest with her movements. So I just went in there to just really expand what she already has.
Any other questions? Comments? Oh, yes. Okay, we'll go Fred and then Robert. Yes, there we go.
Your play was obviously a very personal story. When I saw it, I was blown away by the performance, and even more blown away when I found out afterwards that you'd written the thing as well. What I'm wondering is, do you think that this is a piece that could be successfully performed by someone else? Or is it so tied into your personal experience that it wouldn't work?
Love that question.
I think I was very intentional about not making the character's name my name. It's just the girl. And the character description is that she's an African American woman with an athletic build and who radiates positivity, though maybe it isn't genuine. And that's what an actor would have to work with. I think someone else could absolutely take it on because it deals with so much that we all go through, especially in college, and that big time of like figuring out what you're doing and who you speak to. I'd be interested to see someone else take it on for me.
I no one asked for my opinion, but I actually really agree because I feel like in general acting is taking on experiences that you don't know. So I do think it's possible, and I think it would be not you, but it would be great. And Robert, you had a question, and then we can go Mary afterwards.
Yes. Stephanie, it was wonderful to see you in this, both at the beginning and now. And my question is, where are you in your journey at this point? Have you moved into being an actress and acting, or are you going to meld your acting with writing?
I have been pretty strictly an actor and barista in New York for the past year. But I am still pursuing playwriting as well. This was sort of an untraditional and unintentional entry into the field. And so I've started to write shows with more than one person and like dialogue to see if that's even something I could do or enjoy doing. But I think one of the benefits of going to Dartmouth, and there are a lot of Dartmouth people on this call who would know that the liberal arts approach to the theater degree is one where we all learn how to build a set, we all learn how to be a stage manager, we all learn how to be how to write and act and really try our hand at everything to make ourselves really well-rounded theater artists. Because in New York, there are so many opportunities. If you have if you have like a varied collection of skills, you will always find work as a theater artist as opposed to just an actor.
Thank you. And Mary.
Steph, I was in the audience last week, a week ago tonight, and was very moved by your whole performance. I happen to have a granddaughter who I could tell a lot of your story. She had her 6th concussion and when she was a sophomore in high school, so she was much younger than you, but she has been on much the same journey. And what particularly touched me and you was your comment about the collection of friends that you had that were all involved with soccer. And she had the very same thing happen. And then when she couldn't play anymore, she developed a whole other group of friends because suddenly it wasn't as, they didn't have that connection. And she felt, I know that she felt she grew from the experience. She also still suffers from headaches. She's tried everything, as I know you have. And she, like you, is very positive and she goes on. She does ice climbing. She's a college student right now. But anyway, it was a very personal experience and I thought you did it beautifully and I thank you for that. I just needed to say that. Thank you. I hope we'll see lots more of you at Northern Stage. when things change.
Me too.
Thank you. And next, Euela? Am I saying it correct? I'm so sorry.
Close, Julia.
Julia, okay.
It's just Julia with a Y.
Okay.
Steph, thank you for all of your performances I've seen so far at Northern Stage. We loved you at Citrus, my students. We managed to get there right before it all got closed. Obviously loved this most recent for me. I didn't make it before to see it. I just wanted to say 2 points. I felt educated after your performance because I have had students in class who had to go through concussion. And it's one thing when you read about, what the nurses tell you, oh, please watch out for this, and you try your best. But experiencing this with you, living through those 2 years was very helpful in many ways, just to be a better, support person for my students in the future. And second, you mentioned silver lining, and I was wondering, how do you see it now that you're not in soccer, but you are in theater? And I'm a big fan of theater in general. So do you think it's like, yay that it happened, or how do you feel about it all, the way it played out?
Do I wish I could have come to this conclusion a different way? Yes. But I think dealing with chronic pain and dealing with something that is invisible I was always sort of mature, but it made me grow up a lot faster and find my priorities in college and what I wanted to do with my life and what I would need to do to get there. Because everything needs to be planned out days, weeks, months in advance, everything. So I don't know, it like shook a lot of immaturity out of me and procrastination and like less favorable character traits out of me that I don't know I would have reached another way. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Wait, was that a hand?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And I am a straight guy, and I feel like a lot of the narratives that I take in that center on people of color or center on LGBTQIA folks are kind of disproportionately about kind of trauma or sorrow or sort of hard times. And on the one hand, that makes sense to me because there's major racist and homophobic forces in the US. But on the other hand, it seems like maybe in the aggregate, it offers a kind of reduced sense of humanity because people aren't just reduced to one thing. There are a number of things, and there's a vitality as well that maybe sometimes gets lost. I guess I was wondering if you felt any pressure to find a balance between those things, or if it was something that you sort of felt released from because it was your story, and the sort of lightness and darkness in the narrative, would just find their own way.
Oh my goodness. Profound. Did I even consider it? I think the relationship with Julia was just such a quintessential moment in my life that was all positive until outside forces forced us apart. It was not like anything between us two went wrong. So there was nothing, I don't know, in my mind, it was never anything more than like a super positive queer experience that I wanted to put out there. And like the lyrics of the song are that she opened doors I'd never walked through before, that she helped me jump over walls I'd put up. And those aren't necessarily walls within myself, they're walls in society that told me that I couldn't be a Black queer woman and exist in that way. And especially with a mother of West African heritage, where that's illegal in her home country. It's like such a radical story to throw in for just all those reasons. Yeah, so I definitely weighed heavily on the like good of it. Yeah, thank you for that question. Wow.
Any more questions? Comments? Okay, well, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I just want to say thank you again for coming. Thank you to Steph. Thank you to for writing this wonderful piece. Thank you, Beatrice, for blessing us with your presence and for your amazing choreography. And good night, everyone. Oh, Steph.
Yeah, may I just say something real quick?
Of course.
This is like something I always ask for people to take away, is this sort of call for compassion to everyone's invisible something that they're dealing with, especially now with COVID. You literally don't know what the person in front of you at the store is dealing with. We literally don't know. And I don't know, I started becoming really intentional with just like texting friends, texting family. Even though my family is not like super close, I still text people or call them and just let them know that like someone is thinking about them, even if you don't understand their situation. It's just so valuable. And it was so valuable to me when I was not super happy being here. So you never know, you could be saving someone's life. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's important. Thank you guys again. Have a wonderful night. And yes, tell all your friends to stream It's Fine, I'm Fine. Yay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jalinda. That was amazing. Yes. Tell all of your friends, tell everyone around the world.
Yes.
Thanks, Steph. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Who's Steph?
Beautiful show. Thank you.